Hey, mom. Hey, kiddo. How's it going?
Hi,
Hey.
hi, daughter. Hi, granddaughter.
Hey, you made it back safely back to your apartment.
Yep. As you can see.
It was nice to have you home for the week or so.
Yeah, that was nice.
So I wanted to ask you guys something just to prompt this week's conversation. Um, well, I wanted to tell you a story and then see what you all would have done. So we met this couple some years ago. This is probably 4 years ago or something. And we thought, okay, this is a cool couple. And Kelly and I aren't like, we don't have like a whole lot of friends. We know people, but we don't call like everybody our friends or whatever. And basically, we're one another's best friend. So that's how we kind of function. But we both realize that you kind of, you have to have your own relationships outside of your relationship. And I think that's very important. So we met this couple and we were like, okay, they seem really cool. Let's be open minded to being friends with them. And we would go to their house and have wine and stuff. They would come over here sometime. And they were very, very cool. So they ended up inviting us on this trip to the Dominican Republic, and we hadn't been. And we were like, oh, this could be cool. This seems fun. So sure, we'll go. So we booked the hotel, we booked the flights, we booked the whole trip or whatever. And later on, we were at their house one time, and they were talking about going somewhere. And I think it was like, I don't know, Italy, or they were going somewhere. And it was around the same time that this trip was supposed to be. So we were like looking at each other like, wait a minute, what? Aren't we going to Punta Cana during this time? We didn't say that, but we were looking at each other like, what? They never said anything to us about like canceling or anything like that. They didn't say we're doing two trips, whatever. So next thing you know, like they're not going. So we ended up going on this trip. We were so annoyed by it. Not that we enjoyed ourselves. So it was beautiful. And they didn't force us to do it or anything. We bought the tickets and committed because we wanted to go. But they invited us to this. And so we were kind of thinking like, but we're just gonna keep that in the back of our heads. We never said anything to them about it. But for me, and I probably for Kelly too, I kind of have this, it used to be like a three strikes kind of thing. So it might still be three strikes and you're out, but it could be two because I'm getting older. Birthday coming real soon, birthday downloading Capricorns. Anyway, I think that as I've gotten older, I have less patience for people who don't value friendship, nourish friendships, and they don't view them the way that I guess that I do, which is I feel like I'm a great friend. So have you ever done that to somebody? One, like invited somebody somewhere and then decided you weren't going after they committed to doing it and didn't really tell them, or um, and how would you react if somebody did that to you? Just want to get your takes on that. Mom is like shaking her head the whole time.
Uh, that is too crazy. I,
Foolish.
I I don't know who does that, especially when you that with that type of expense. Airline tickets, rooms, and stuff like that. I haven't done anything like that to anyone, um, and didn't tell them. Like if I said let's go somewhere, and then I decide not to go, I would at least tell them ahead of time. uh, you know, I decided I wasn't going to go or something like that. And in
Mhm.
fact, I've actually even gone some places with people that I had really didn't want to go. And I didn't want to cancel. You know what I mean? I didn't want to cancel because I told them I was going to go with them or something like that.
Mhm.
But for me to initiate this trip and then I not go and then I not tell them, that's really crazy.
Well, it's not like we were at the trip and we're waiting on them at the airport, or
No,
it's not one of those things, but still, yeah.
it's still that they initiated the trip. They knew you all were going and was planning to go because they said that they were going to go, and then you all spent your money to prepare to go, and
Hmm.
then they changed their mind and they didn't say anything to you. Or they could have just said, "Oh, we decided we weren't going to go on that trip, but it would be good if you all went anyway because it is a nice place," or or something like that.
Didn't say
I
nothing.
just
I
that's
mean,
it.
didn't say nothing.
That's just rude and disrespectful. That's just no. I would have said something. You're better than me. I would have said something. As soon as I heard them say Italy and I realized it was around the same dates, I would say, wait a minute, hold up. Didn't y'all talk about a trip? Y'all not going there anymore? And if they, oh no, we changed our mind. Well, thank you for letting me know.
Right.
Right.
So I would have said something. Might not have been that nice, but I would have said something. That's not right.
No, I didn't think that was right at all. And we still ended up like having different, like I guess went to their house for wine and stuff. They like wine just as much as us, and went to other friends. We had some mutual friends in the neighborhood. And so we had been over to those people's house and they were there. And if we had a gathering at our house, we still invited them, But
Yeah.
in the back of my mind, like in my mind's eye, you just don't do that to people. So
Yeah.
I kept it there, and I need to work on this maybe, but I'm quick to write somebody off and just be like, that's just not my get down. They're just not for me, like I know I'm not for everybody, and they're not for me if they're going to do something like that. That's not a little thing like I'm running late for dinner.
And you never brought it up again.
No, we never brought it up again.
Mm.
I don't know if we ever had a conversation like we went and it was fun, or, oh, thanks for telling us about Punta Cana. I don't think that happened. But we did end up going there's this travel company called Olivia. And so it's they do resorts, and that was the resort, and they do like cruises and stuff. So we did end up going on a cruise that they were on. We didn't plan it together,
Okay.
on this cruise. I think that must have been the Iceland, Norway one, I think. So we saw them and stuff, and we never sat and was like, oh, let's make sure we go to dinner or get, dinner. What time's your dinner, on the cruise or whatever.
Mhm.
We never did that. We were just like, oh, remember that time? We try to have, and, we just left it at that. What would you do, kiddo? Or have you experienced that?
I don't think I've ever experienced that. I think I've had people cancel like at the very last minute
Mhm.
for
I don't
something,
like that
but
either.
yeah, I don't like that. I like this one time, my friend and I, we were gonna go to this concert for this artist that we really liked, and like hours before, or like
Who
the
was it,
day
Beyonce?
before.
Who, Beyonce?
No, Jacquees.
Oh,
We were gonna go see Jacquees. And like hours before, like the day before, she was like, yeah, I can't go anymore. It was a BS excuse too. She was like, yeah, my mom said I can't. I'm like, girl, your mom. we're we're adults. Your mom told you can't go to the concert. Like what? So that's why I knew she was lying. And so that was really annoying.
how did that impact your friendship with her? Or did it?
Um, it just naturally faded away. It wasn't because of that concert that we didn't, continue like hanging out, but it just naturally faded away. But when people do stuff like that, yeah, I just keep it in the back of my mind. I don't really like say anything about it. Like I have friends who I really do like, but they're just completely unreliable when it comes to like making plans, or like, can you pick something up for me? Can you pick me up at this time? Like I have friends I would never ask to do that for me. Because like their understanding of time is just like, or respect of other people's time is just not all the way there or something. I don't know.
Ah,
But
but
yeah,
you know that about them as your friend, right?
huh?
I say you know that about them as your friend.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that about them. And I just know like, okay, this, I like to do this with this friend, but I would never say, hey, can you pick me up from the airport? Or
Okay.
can you,
Because you might
you
still be sitting at the airport.
right, exactly. I would be sitting at the airport for like, I remember once I had this one friend, I went to the hospital and I was like at home, like on bed rest or whatever. And I was like, oh, like, I don't feel good. Can you pick up this medication for me? Like my stomach really hurts. It took her like 2 hours to bring the medication to me. When she came back, she was like, yeah, we stopped by this festival. We saw this festival that was going on. So we walked through and we
Girl,
just
I'm on bed rest.
yes. I was like,
with my meds.
are you okay? Like, what made you think that was okay to like, yeah, I'm in pain writhing on the bed? and you're gonna stop by a festival. Like, what?
Yeah.
God.
Well, what's important in that case, what's important to you is not always important to somebody else.
Yeah.
Also, you have to take that under consideration. She just like, maybe she just thought she just want me to pick up her meds, like she don't need them right now.
Like she
Yeah.
wanted to work towards for her.
Yeah, or something like that. So let me just swing by here real quick, get my groove on, and then I'll run. Not like I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't, but that's another thing you were saying, like, so you know this about this friend, like, so is that my friend? You know what I mean? Are you my friend, or is it like, that's what I wonder. And I don't want to say just because somebody won't handle something the same way that I would, that makes them a bad friend. That's not what I mean. But when you look at friendships and you think about, like, I had good friendships with people from middle school and high school, 25, 30 years. And I have one friend who I met, at 10 years old, and we're friends, but we don't communicate as much as we did in the past. But if I talk to her, it's like we pick up where we left off. Like nothing was lost or anything. We're in different states and stuff, but nothing was lost. I can be like, oh, I'm going to California and visit my mom and fam. So what days are you free that we can connect, and we pick up where we left off? But another friend in that same friend group circle or whatever, who we went to high school with, like I gave her some information and literally asked her not to share that, with anybody. And I guess she immediately shared. It's been, I don't know how long that I just dropped her as a friend. What, I don't know, over 7 years or something. She not only immediately like told somebody, she didn't think I would find out from this person. Like, this is another person from high school who we don't necessarily stay in contact with, but another person does, so it came back to me from a person I was still in contact with. It was like, oh, so-and-so told me this and they got it from this person. And I was like, what the heck? Like within a day.
Oh, wow.
And I literally, nobody has to say to me, don't say that to anybody. Don't
Yeah.
tell anybody this that I'm saying to you. Nobody has to say that to me. Like, that. Like, don't go telling somebody's business. It's not yours to tell. That's not your story to tell.
Right.
Let them tell their own story. I think if you
Right.
know that, like, I told you something, Mom, and you know that I talked to Kennedy about it as well. Like, I'm saying, yeah, Mom, I was talking to Kennedy about blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you it, I don't have a problem with Kennedy and you talking about it, without me. But if I'm telling you, Mom, don't say anything to Kennedy, and you don't say it or I didn't say don't say anything to Kennedy. I said don't tell anybody this.
Mm-hmm.
But you go and you tell not Kennedy, but you tell my sister,
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister's like, yeah, Mom told me. It's like, what the heck? I wouldn't do that to people. Have you had that happen where somebody just like tells your business or something like that? Like they can't hold water. Like you can't rely on them with, your information.
I probably have had it happen, but it's probably been so long ago because I'm sure it was someone that was much younger that did that. It's not the friends that I have now that would do that.
Mm.
So I probably have. And usually when people tell me their stories, I don't try to hang on to them anyway because I don't want to have to I don't want to accidentally repeat them or anything. You know what I mean? So because like you said, it's not my story to tell. I have had people that have told me something, they told somebody else something. They didn't tell me not to tell, but that other person was telling me and I acted like I never even knew it. So I'm like, oh really? How'd you find out? But a lot of times when people will come to me and tell me stories, I ask them so many questions that they don't want to come and tell me anymore. So, like, how were you there with her or him or whatever? What happened? Where'd you get this information? That kind of stuff. So they just, a lot of times they don't just want to tell me something that they heard.
Mm-hmm.
But, and back to what Kennedy was saying, sometimes when you know the personality of your friends, then you know where you can go with them and how far. Like going to the restaurant, you know that this person is going to be the last one order, and y'all might be finished eating before they place their order.
Girl,
I
we
have
ain't going to brunch no more then.
had a friend like that, so it doesn't bother us. I love her. You know, I love her. And so we all loved her, but we knew for us to go ahead and get our orders in.
Oh my God.
And then, you know, because we knew that she was gonna get hers in possibly after we were in the middle of our order. And we would let the waiter know that, okay, she's gonna order later, you know. So leave the menu. You got all our menus, but leave the one with her. So we did that. And then we have that friend that's gonna be late. And so we just kind of add the time up, you know, kind of
Do
figure
you
out the
tell that
time.
friend a bad time? Do you give them the wrong time so that they could be on time?
Sometimes
How much? By like an hour?
about 30 minutes to an hour. Yeah,
And they
sometimes.
still late?
No,
Oh,
not,
okay.
not often. Sometimes they are. But we don't worry about it. You know, we don't worry about it because the other qualities are, we love that
Yeah.
other quality. That's
And
just, you know,
you
each
want
one
her
of us, yeah, each one of us have our own little thing, and we know that about one another. So the friends I have, like I said, long time friends, years, decades, and stuff like that. So, you know, you just know their personality and know what to expect and stuff like that. But I'm not a person that shares a lot of stories with my friends anyway.
Oh, you don't?
Friends, I don't share a lot of. I
You
share
don't open
something.
up, or-
No, no. So
I think
they're my
you're the ear for them, huh?
yeah, they're my real good friends. But I've never been a person that shared a whole. Just I have some friends that just tell everything, and I'd be thinking, man, they don't mind telling that. You know, some things that I probably never would tell people that has happened. Same thing that they were telling me, that same thing has happened to me too. But I'm not gonna say that happened to me too.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Some things I will, but some things I won't. It's
Some
just some
things.
things I
Oh, yeah.
don't care. It's just
Like
something
if somebody's going through a hard time and they're just down and out about it, if you've experienced that, you would say
yes,
something, right?
something like that. Something
Oh,
like that. But
other
there's
things.
just some things, yeah, there's just some things I'm just not gonna share. It's just not necessary for you to know. You know, and we just go on with that. You know, we
Are
just
you an
roll.
open book with your friends, Kennedy? Do you think they know every aspect of you?
No, me and my friends are actually very private. I have maybe one friend who, like, I'm thinking like, okay, out of my close friends, I have like 4 close friends, not including my boyfriend. And out of those 4 friends, I have one friend that is like kind of an open book that basically like tells me like pretty much everything.
Mhm.
But for the most part, me and my friends are very private, like keep to ourselves, as far as like when it comes to, I don't know, just like personal struggles or things like that. Like we just keep it to ourselves. Yeah.
So what do you use to like get through those things if you're having
Um,
a year?
I'll talk to my boyfriend, or
Hmm.
I'll journal it. I think the one person that I probably do tell almost everything to is my boyfriend, but my friends, not as much.
Jonathan, oh, that's good.
Mhm.
I do think that it's important that everybody has a somebody, their person that they
Mhm.
can tell everything to and still be loved unconditionally, or still be like, they're not going to hold it against you. They're not going to be passive aggressive about it, not going to judge you on those things. I think that's important. And so I think outside of my marriage, I don't know that there's somebody like that for me that I would be willing to just tell everything to. And that's unfortunate. And I don't know if that's partially me too, not knowing that, having had friendships that, failed, or disappointments that made me say, like, I can't be all extra loyal to this person and this is how they are. Like those different things. Maybe there's somebody there, and I'm going to try to be open minded this year, to meeting new people. I don't know where we're going to meet, maybe in a random Zoom meeting or something, but I don't know
Maybe.
how we're going to meet. But we'll see. And I'll be like a little more open minded. I'm not going to go just telling all my business, but I'd be open to, nourishing a friendship and stuff, and see where that leads, because I
Yeah.
think everybody needs like a person who's always game to like go to brunch, or somebody who can, always last minute be like, girl, I was able to get these tickets, but it's for tonight. Can you go? And they're like, oh yeah, what's the dress code? And
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like music and different things like that.
Yeah. I like spontaneity. I like people that are ready to let's get ready and go. I just don't believe I have to have a friend that I can just let spill my guts to, per se.
Mhm.
I just don't.
Yes, you're right. Like Kennedy mentioned,
I'm not going to do that
that
because
helps.
I know my personality. I'm not going to do that. There's a lot of things that I just keep to myself,
Mhm.
and I'm just not. Well, I'm not going to say I'm not going to do it. I haven't done it up to this point.
It's not necessary. Is
It's,
what.
to me, it's not necessary, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's not necessary or if I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not one of those people.
Not doing that.
I'm just not going to tell you everything.
Yeah.
I love my friends. I have some of the best friends in the world because they love me in spite of me. And I know I can be a little harsh, a little rough, a little rude, I'm a little raw, need to be sanded off and smoothed and stuff in areas. And they love
All
me.
diamonds were once
And
rough.
they, huh?
I said all diamonds started off a little.
Okay, well, hey, cool. I haven't made it to the diamond part yet. So that's what I'm saying. And they continue to be there. Like I said, I've had friends that I've had for decades, and I've had friends that we don't talk a lot often, I should say, but they'll text me and they'll say certain things. Like I got a text the other day. I guess I didn't respond fast enough because she called me 2 days later and told me to read my text. So I read it and it was a very sweet text. But friends, I have friends like that, but I just don't feel the need, or I haven't been in the situation where I need to just tell them everything.
Expose everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't feel the need for me to expose everything to them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't mean like, oh, I'm looking for a friend who I could tell them everything, because I don't tell everything like to anybody, and it's not necessary. But
Right.
you do want to give a little, so then it's like that give and take. You know a little bit about this person, they can trust, you with their, private stories or secrets or fears,
Right.
goals even, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So that's always something that I think can be solid and supportive in a relationship or a friendship. I had a friend who I'm still friends with her, but it started off like she was very like, they call it shade or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like throw shade. I never understood that. That is like so Real Housewives of Atlanta and like reality show type stuff to me. Like, why are you throwing shade on somebody who is your friend, who's supposed to be a
Mm-hmm.
friend? And
Mm-hmm.
to me, shade is like just a slick way of talking shit to somebody in their face. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and around somebody else. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
want to embarrass your friend? Like, this is
Right.
supposed to be your friend, your homegirl. Why are you even saying that? Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
you know something about them, you're gonna throw it and drop it off there, or try to have an inside joke when somebody else is around, and they like, girl, I told you that, like, why are I
Right.
told you that in confidence? Why are you sharing that or whatever? So I had this friend who, just would be shady, and I would be like, I don't do that to people. Like, me and you, we're not gonna groove right like that. I don't do that to people in general, and I'm not gonna do it to my friend. And so it took a few times for her to realize, like, oh, she about to be done with me. Like, yeah, I'm about to be done with you. Like, you can't be making no little comments and thinking that's cute or funny just to get a key. Not at
Mm-hmm.
my expense. You're not about to do that, right? So I had to really address it. I faded to black is what I call it. I fade to black because you get them 2 strikes. If you know better, you get them 2 strikes. If it's somebody, I'm like, okay, one more again, we're gonna try one more again, then you might have those 3 strikes. And so I just faded to black. And finally we did have a conversation, which was important to me, that she came to me like, what happened? Like, what happened to us or whatever? What's the deal? And I was like, yeah, you've been shady. I don't do that to you. And I don't know, I don't like that throwing shade or whatever. In California, we're like, oh, they shady.
Mm-hmm.
But then they brought that term back, and it kind of means kind of the same, but it's throwing shade.
Right.
It's supposed to be cute or whatever. It's not cute to me. And I had to bring that up and say it. And I think that it made me like her more that she was willing to talk about and ask me, like, what
Right.
happened to us? Like, if
Yeah,
it was nothing and to her, like my friendship didn't mean anything, we'd just been, I would have
right.
faked black, she wouldn't have cared, and then it would have just dwindled. But she wanted to talk, like, I miss my friend, I miss my buddy, what happened? And I told
Yeah,
her, and she hasn't done that. She hasn't done that to me at all anymore. So, and I love her for that, and we're good friends. I mean, like, yeah, pretty good.
that's good. It's always good to have those conversations. I had been holding something that someone did, and I noticed um, possibly she had done a couple of things, and I noticed. I said, I wonder if I thought, Mel, I wonder if she actually is trying to be shady. And but anyway, I don't think she was. But anyway, I had been holding this one little thing that I wanted to ask, but I kept telling myself, "Oh, go on and just let it go." And then finally one day the conversation come up, and it was a good segue to me asking. And I decided I'm not gonna let it go because this is a nice time for me to slide this in. So I mentioned it to her, and she wasn't even aware that that's how it went down.
Mm,
And she explained to me her side. When she explained to me, was it was way more different than how I was feeling it. So it was so good that I did finally bring it up. Else that would have continued to hurt me, to
mm.
fester in me and
Holding
bring
on to
something
it.
up. And maybe I would have eventually started being a bad friend to her.
Hmm.
And when she had a whole other picture of what was going on that I didn't even know,
Yeah.
which was which was so very understandable after she explained it to me. And
Yeah.
then she was glad that I had said something to her, and I was glad that I finally said something. And I
Was
was
she
glad that she explained
apologetic,
it to
or
me.
was she like, that's not how I meant that? Kind
Yeah,
of.
it was like, no, because I didn't even really want to do that.
Oh.
But I went on and did it because you had said you weren't able to do it.
Hmm.
So we worked that out. So it was really good. So it's good sometimes rather than hold it and just be trying to build your own story around it, to
Yeah.
go ahead and say something so you can see what really went down. So you can go ahead and let that go, you
Hmm.
know.
So you're more
That's
of the talk it out and like confront, not confront like in a negative way, but have that conversation.
if it's worth it, like
Yeah.
your friend came to you and say, well, what happened to us?
Because I
Because
would have never said anything to her again.
see, that's what I'm saying. You wouldn't have
I
never
already
said
told
anything. But that friendship with you meant something to her. The friendship,
you.
the friends I have, I love them dearly.
Mhm.
They love me. I believe that I'm a really good friend. That's what I strive to be. So, but when this happened, I kept trying to figure out what went wrong, but I kept trying to figure it out by myself. Instead of trying to figure it out alone, I should have asked her what happened
Mhm.
way, because it's been like a year or so,
Oh,
that,
wow.
or maybe more. But I kept saying, just let it go. But once the opportunity came, I went on and said something, and it wasn't at all what I thought it was.
Mhm.
So that's why I said sometimes just go ahead and ask the question if that friendship means something to you or if that person means anything to you.
And
And
sometimes those are difficult
and then you can just let it go.
Yeah.
If it was like you thought it was,
Yeah.
you can say, well, okay, we can just terminate this situation right here,
Yeah.
like that.
And so sometimes it's best to have those difficult conversations.
Yeah,
It makes people uncomfortable for the most part. And I don't think that's why I avoid them. I just think that, like you said, if it's important to me to maintain this friendship, then I should probably have that conversation. Like that couple who invited us, that was something new. It
yeah,
wasn't a
it
long
was.
lasting friendship. It wasn't people we knew for years. If we had known them for years, I think would have been like in a space to be like, what y'all talking about? Ain't we going here? But because
Right.
it was a new friendship, we didn't really broach that subject. We just kind of held on to it. Like, is it worth even nourishing this?
Yeah.
Um, do you have anything to add to that piece, Kennedy?
I'm I'm more of a person, and maybe maybe this is just a trait I should change, but I'm more of a person to just let friendships go. If something is done that I'm not very fond of, To me, if like given the situation, maybe it could have been a misunderstanding, then maybe that's something that I'll talk out with them. But most of my friendships that I think of, that I've let go, there really was no reinterpreting the situation or like how it could, or maybe they could have meant it this
Like it
way.
was,
No,
it
it really,
was.
it was what it was. And there was really no reason for me to talk that out because it was just like inexcusable to me given what was done. And so I just let the friendships go. I just,
Fade to black.
fade to black.
Yeah. That's what I
Fade.
call it. I just call it fading to black, and I just don't reach out. I don't really, But what's interesting is a couple times I've done that, and I was like, well, they haven't reached out to me either. They haven't done this, and I'm like, so maybe it was me all along trying to nourish this friendship because it was me like initiating texts or whatever the case may be, or saying, let's go here, let's go there.
Mhm.
I want to ask y'all this, and then we can wrap this up. What about I didn't get into like actual relationships, like intimate relationships and stuff like that. So that could be a different topic. But with regards to friendships, I wanted to ask y'all about like what are your limits on friendships? Like what would cause you to just like, I'm no longer gonna hang out with this person. They're not in my life anymore. Um, is it like would you loan a friend money or are you like that's off, do you have rules? Like remember the Housewives of Atlanta, Cynthia had like a friendship contract for Nene Leakes when they first became good friends. And you can kind of see like first I was like, well, that's foolish, that's crazy, you don't do that. But you can kind of see like where how everything turned out with their friendship. Like, hey, I'm sure that wasn't in that contract of how you were supposed to be a friend to this individual or whatever. Um, so what's a deal breaker for you all for friendships? So what's
Well,
your deal breaker?
I'm too old to be taking a whole bunch of stuff. I just don't. Like I said, I have friends that I've had for decades. That's fine. We're good. We're the way we've been for a while. We probably not getting ready to change and start getting out.
Now's not the time.
Now is not the time we're gonna start lying and trying to take somebody's man and all that kind of stuff. They man or they woman, we ain't, ain't none of that happening. We probably none of us are probably gonna start doing any stuff that's gonna make us, well, I'm not gonna be talking to her anymore, that kind of stuff. If they do something like that, it's gonna be so obvious and then it's gonna probably be brought to the front, brought forward about what's going on. So I just don't think I'm gonna really have that issue. If I do, then as you say, I'm fading to black, blackety black. So that's what
What's
I'm
your,
doing.
do you have different friendship circles? Like you have three here and
I
finally you
did.
have the road kittens and they've been your friends for a long time and they're my aunties. But do you have like a separate friend group who they're not a part of the road kittens and you manage them a little
Yes,
differently?
yeah, I do. I have the
Do you
road
mix
kittens.
those groups at all?
The road
Have you ever?
kittens, they are really my road kittens. And then I have Atlanta friends.
All
You know,
right.
I have Oklahoma friends. And they're all different. We all do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yes, the road kittens, they're my kittens for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the ride or die group, right?
Yeah, that's the ride or die group.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a ride or die girl in Atlanta, Bayina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I've been knowing Bayina since 1970. But then in Oklahoma, I've had people that I've known since junior high. And one of them we just reconnected just last week.
Oh, wow.
Can't wait until I get to Tulsa. So, you know,
Oh,
that
that's gonna be
stuff.
cool.
Yeah. So, I have them spread it out throughout the United States.
Mhm. You, Kennedy, or do you want to give like a tip on how to be a good, like one tip that would make you a solid good friend, or do you want to answer that question?
Ooh, I like the one tip thing. One tip I would say to be that helps contribute to being a solid friend. Um, I would say maybe just learn to be a good listener.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel many people sometimes just, it's their friend, so they just want to get everything off their chest and, tell them about something. And by the time you get off the phone, they're like, dang, they didn't even ask me how I'm doing, or like they didn't even ask me like what's going on in my life.
Mm, okay. I think sometimes I'm okay with that too. Like it's not my time
Right.
that day. You know, if you call me and you just blah, this is happening and you never said, "Oh girl, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
That's not my time. This was the time that you needed for me to listen to you or whatever, like active listening or whatever. But I think that's a really solid point. At least be like, do you have a minute? Or because you don't know what mood that person's in. Like, do you have a
Right.
minute? I just want to vent. Like, find out first. And then you could be like, oh, no, I'm like not in that space right now. Or you could be like, yeah, sure, I'll listen.
Yeah.
And they don't have to ask you about you. It's not your time or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think those are very valid points, and I'll take that with me. But I want to also I think a tip for me, I guess, would be to accept people prima facie for face value at what they offer. That's who they are. You can't be trying to make people change and be more like you in the realm of your friend, the way you would be a friend or whatever. So just accept people as they are, and either you vibe with them or you don't. Because
Right.
people who I'd be like, no, no, like get away from me. It puts me in a different headspace when they're around. I don't know why there's so much control about that. Probably because they're foolish. And I'm just like, I don't want any parts of that. That's not who I am. But other people, I'm like, okay, I don't like this about them, but I'm cool otherwise. So
Yes.
with that, that's 3 Gem for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe next week we'll talk about either relationships, like intimate relationships, or we'll let Mom or Kennedy lead on superstitions and things that your family members have said that you carry with you and the Black community. So thank you so much for watching. Love y'all.
Bye, granddaughter.
Bye.